This is the LG 55-inch
SK9000
PUA model. This is a 2018 version of the TV. It comes with a standard native 4K resolution, HDR support for HDR10, and a number of other interesting features. So in this review, we're just going to generally go over the various assets that this particular TV has and go into a little bit of depth of what everything does with this particular model. So I've been playing this a lot. I have the Xbox One X being displayed, which also presents a native 4K and basically emulates the best of what TVs can really do in the modern time. So to start, obviously 4K HDR. This is carried throughout the experience, whether you're using it with your consoles or with the built-in apps. So Netflix, Amazon, and so forth that have HDR content is natively supported right through the TV, which is great. For me, the biggest change, because a 4K resolution, 3840 by 2160, is not a huge jump. A lot of people have 4K TVs. That's sort of a standard thing at this point, where I'd like to think it really is becoming one. So if you're looking to sort of make a jump as far as moving forward and getting something more beneficial out of it, for me a big part of the experience was sound. So this supports Dolby Atmos. When you're going to the movies, that is a big part of the theater experience, is Atmos. I love Atmos. It sounds fantastic, and you're getting that with the TV. It's loud, it's really powerful in that sense, but there are a lot of options to tweak your audio and so forth to how you'd like it. Same with picture quality, but for me Atmos is a big deal. I love the quality of sound, and going from a TV that doesn't have it to one that does is actually quite a big deal, at least for me. At any time, if you have any questions about the TV and so forth, feel free to let me know, and let's continue forward. So this one is AI powered with their new ThinQ technology, and that is built right into the remote. So this is a good starting point for us. So we have a rather large remote style for this particular TV, as you can see here, and the back, somewhat shiny. It is a little bit larger than I'm used to. I like the intuitive design of the Samsung ones because there is basically nothing to them, but this is the Samsung one right here. But this one does offer all the buttons and everything you could want. There's literally a Netflix button built right into it, and a Amazon button, because I guess that might be a bigger deal in the US. I'm not too sure about Canada. So going back to the ThinQ technology, we have a microphone right here, and you're able to actually talk to your TV, command it, and run a bunch of the native apps that are built into the experience. You can of course download additional apps if you are wanting to do so, and yeah, there's a full store, a good amount of space on the actual OS, and yeah, this is a very complete sort of remote control. So there's a wheel here, so we click into the remote right in the center here, and then we get a little tiny control dot that you can kind of see there, and that is kind of how you generally control things. And yeah, so we open up the settings, and then you can see how it pops up on the right hand side, where we can change our picture mode, aspect ratio, sound users, and so forth, and connect to the network, sleep timer if you'd like. It's probably not zoomed in too well, but we're going to have lots of cut-ins in this video for showing stuff. And then we can have all settings, which is on the left hand side. Everything is pretty quick with the TV in regards to the processor and so forth, making this very fast. Lots of options for picture, sound. You're definitely going to want to turn on the Dolby Atmos, as I've been mentioning there. That is that big one. But there's a lot of options as far as kind of checking things, your network, your connection, and so forth. And accessibility, you can have it talk to it. So we're going to try out the actual microphone here. Open Netflix. And it works. For the most part, it's been quite accurate. I haven't had too many problems with it. I haven't been using Netflix directly through this because the One X does it, and it's the same sort of support. So yeah, it's really interesting. You can also search like videos, the rain, and then it's going to pull up, well, this is the forecast, so yeah, I guess in Ottawa, but you can kind of, search for videos and search for other things just using your remote, which is a nice little touch, and it does work for the most part. It would be nice if it was just active on the TV, but I guess for privacy things, it doesn't do that because it's not actively mic monitoring. I used to love it with the Kinect, So for me, it's not a big deal seeing this sort of voice control being integrated into the TV, and it's actually kind of about now, or about time. And I do like, having that option. So that kind of controls like your TV and your channels, and you can use with your apps. It's a very nice touch. So there's a lot of things in here. We're also going to show off the sort of home. So this is how it is. There are ads built into the experience, which you can't turn off. I find that a little bit weird that you pay for a TV and then you have ads built right into it. But they're mostly suggestion based, as in things to download or movies to check out. So it's not really anything too bad from what I've seen so far. But yeah, there's a lot of apps. You can kind of see what you've recently been doing here. If you're running like a game, the recent will have like it'll show, what you're playing. Obviously, there's lots of settings. There's screen mirroring, so you can mirror cast. There's mobile connections, so you can put your phone on the screen. You've got everything, Cineplex, the Prime Videos, Crackle, Karaoke. It's got all your inputs. There's Internet Browser, which uses Chrome, which is awesome, because I was actually able to watch my Netflix screeners without having a huge inconvenience. That's really nice. Scheduling, gallery, video. When it comes to inputs, there are quite a few options in regards to what you can actually do with your TV. So through USB, you can actually get like a 4K HDR enabled input, which is really nice. So there's 4 HDMI, there's 3 USB ports, there's an RS-232C port. I mean, if you still want that, there's an optical port if you need that. But really, honestly, the sound is fantastic on this. I can't even go up past 10, and my ears are like, wow, this is good. Crystal clear. I was playing around the music settings. You'll get like a music, that thing that pops up in the right hand corner here. It'll be a big music player with your different albums, and you can play music throughout the experience, which is really nice if that's something you like doing. It's got a LAN connection. There's a composite cable. It uses a wall mount, and I'll also mention that just below the TV in this area, you can actually control like volume and so forth if you want to manually do that without the remote. Wall mount is a VESA 300 by 300 millimeter, and you can, without the stand or with the stand, if you like to wall mount it. Personally, I like to have my TV sitting, and it really comes down to personal choice. Either option is fine.
Without the stand, this is 37.9 pounds.
It's actually really light, even though that may sound like quite a bit. It's very easy to carry. This size, it did require 2 people to set up. I don't think the setup was very difficult, and yeah, it was pretty easy going in that regard.
The TV without the stand is 48 by 5 inches by 27.9 inches by 2.5 inches.
So you see there's a very, very thin bezel around the screen. It's very nice. The TV itself is very thin. Realistically, I don't think they can get too much thinner. I guess they could, but it's quite fine. So with the stand, the dimensions are
48.5 inches by 30.6 inches by 9.8 inches. And it has a weight of 41.2 pounds.
That was with the stand, so you're really not getting that much of a difference. So going back to general other comments, this thing is actually really good. I've enjoyed using the TV. I think it looks pretty good visually. I'm impressed by the style. It's nice. It looks aesthetically pleasing within the room. I wish the stand was a little bit more dynamic, but it is designed as in a sense that it can get a little bit of wobble going, but it's not going to tilt over or anything like that. Nice quality, very smooth, looks nice. There is a nano cell display technology in here, which improves the color accuracy with a wider color gamut, while also absorbing unwanted light. That works for the most part. I did notice there is some reflection in the black colors, and I wish the blacks were a little bit darker. I don't think we're quite there with the TV technology yet. And you do get a little bit of a reflective, off of the darker colors on the screen at times. Not all the time. Most of the time it's actually pretty good, but you still do see that. So we're supposed to get truer colors with the nanocell technology and reduced reflectivity and deeper black levels. That aside, there's A7 intelligent processor built in, which is why it's super quick, super smart, and fast. Continuing on with that, it's 4K Cinema HDR. There's Dolby Vision HDR by Technicolor. And, the HDR10 is mentioned, and HLG. There's also dynamic tone mapping, frame-by-frame basis with their HDR tech that they've been running. So there's also HFR, which for 4K, which is a high frame rate, which means, really fast FPS, which is great for sports. but that's basically a technology they're working on in regards to making handling those fast frames and those very fluid pictures. Games are typically 60, films we usually get 30 or a little bit less, like 29.97, depending on the film and how it's shot. So there are different frame rates, but we are starting to see things filmed with a higher FPS, which is great, because I love the fluidity, but it really comes down to person, because some people it makes them a bit sick, but I think they really just need to get used to it. Personal opinion. So this is native 4K, 1080 is upscaled, as is 720. I watched a bunch of different kind of qualities of pictures, just so I could get an idea of things, a bunch of different movies, and a bunch of different clips. So basically 720 actually does look pretty good. I was surprised about the results as far as the upscaling. 1080 looks absolutely fine, but 4K is where this shines. So I was watching movies such as Star Wars: The Last Jedi, The Dark Knight Rises, and these are 4K videos. The Incredibles, which is really good if you haven't watched it in a while. And other things such as La La Land, because it's musicals and the sound with the Atmos. Beautiful, very lovely experience. And yeah, just a bunch of 4K content, mostly games too. With the Xbox One X, we're able to actually get native 4K quality in a lot of titles. So Call of Duty World War II, which is still somewhat popular at this point, Halo 5 Guardians, Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3, Forza 7, and a number of other titles just in the 4K, and whatever I've been reviewing recently. It looks really good for games. I noticed a distinct difference for movies. Going from 4K to 4K, I was like, okay, it looks a bit better. The color's improved, and I do like that. But I thought games really did get a nice jump in terms of quality and just the fluidity of the characters. Gears of War, I know it's a huge difference as far as the movement, and it does seem really geared towards making gaming a better experience on this TV. And I really did enjoy that element of it. Continuing forward, obviously Dolby Atmos sound, which is beautiful. It's a loud TV, it sounds great, it's fantastic. We're also looking at WebOS 4, which is equipped with Chrome, as I mentioned, apps, there's the Bluetooth support, the music player, lots of other options for whatever you're wanting to listen to. And yeah, so basically, even if you don't have a console, if you have a TV box, you can just plug it right in and it kind of connects to it, and you can control it with voice. Also has the app support for everything that I mentioned, Netflix, Cineplex, and all that stuff as I'm moving in my pocket. There is no VRR support, which is a variable refresh rate, but that's kind of a new thing, so I didn't expect it to be in there. I went over the inputs. That's kind of all the general details about the TV. I think I've gone over all the features quite well. It handles well, it looks good. I like how it fits in the room. It's small, so it doesn't have a huge presence like the older TVs of the day. This is a really good option for gaming, and for movies it's beautiful. Seriously, 4K films and stuff that are finally coming in, that content is beautiful. If you just have 1080, it still looks good. The upscaling is impressive. I love the motion and the fluidity. This is a nice upgrade from even a regular 4K option, because you are getting that Atmos if you don't have it previously, which not very many TVs do. I think the improvements to HDR are really nice. I don't think we're quite there with the true black colors yet, but for the most part this is a very solid TV. It has a lot of good offerings, a lot of options for watching whatever you'd like to watch with it. I'd give it an 8.2 out of 10. You can read my full detailed written review in the description below, which should go into things a little bit further, but I do hope that I covered all of the core details of it and showcased the actual TV quite well.